Okay. So, this is lecture number 17 of finite volume, and we will start with a new topic on gradient calculations. And before moving there, let me just start with what we have done till the last lecture. And if you recall this particular page, this is where we stopped. When we are talking about the diffusion system, we are talking about the discretization of the diffusion system. What we have considered steady state diffusion system with source term, and then we started with Cartesian system, Cartesian orthogonal, moved to non-Cartesian orthogonal, then non-orthogonal unstructured system. And in each of these respective system, we have talked about the discretized equation, which actually looks like a equation of this nature, which is a same looking equation for all these different systems. What it differs is that when you move to one to another system, these coefficients will vary, and the contribution at the source term level, that also changes. And one important thing that you have come across, that when you deal with non-orthogonal unstructured system, you come across two important quantity is the contribution due to cross diffusion term, and which actually leads to some sort of a difficulties in doing the calculation, because the cross diffusion term, if you recall it from our previous lectures, cross diffusion term you cannot calculate using the nodal values between the cells. That means, if you have the cells like this and using these nodal values, you cannot actually calculate the cross diffusion term, and that happens with the increasing, and the cross diffusion term is actually increases with the increasing level of non-orthogonality. So, that is why the non-orthogonal system brings some sort of an complexity in handling the process, but at the same time the beauty of this particular discretization scheme or the method is that you deal with a similar set of expression for all the node, and this gets modified when you move down to the boundary node, and the extra term that arises at the non-orthogonal system, if you make them 0, you move towards this side. So, you can bring back your Cartesian orthogonal system. So, the whole idea is that from the programming point of view, and also one thing that we have considered is the anisotropic diffusion coefficient. So, all these things, if you make them simpler or assign certain values, it can get back you the simple Cartesian system. So, the beauty of this discretization is that you can have a generic code which can be used for both Cartesian system, orthogonal system and non-orthogonal system. When it be used for the orthogonal system, the extra term like cross diffusion term, skewness approximation, all these should be made 0, then it is a special case and should be treated as an orthogonal system. And when the anisotropic diffusion values are assigned to 1, this could be treated as isotropic diffusion. Now, all this process while doing this diffusion discretization, the one important quantity is the gradient. So, gradient is another quantity, the calculation of gradient is also very important. And why it is important? Because the discretization of gradients of phi at cell centered and faces are any fundamentals to construct the discretized set of diffusion equation. So, essentially the gradient is fundamental to any discretized diffusion equation. So, that is the important thing that you have. So, that is why now we move to the calculation of the gradient, and we will look how or analyze how one can estimate these gradients for different kind of scenarios, and how that helps to be used in a discretized diffusion equation. So, this is how we are moving, and if you follow the things in a particular fashion, you can notice, or one can notice, that we are slowly building one step in the top of the other one. So, first we have discussed general discretization, now we have picked up a term by term discretization. For that we have started with the diffusion system. Now, the diffusion system requires one important quantity which to be calculated is the gradient. Now, in addition to that, when you deal with the fluid flow problem, so fluid flow problem means you will be dealing with Navier-Stokes equations, that also requires some gradient calculation in terms of pressure gradient, your convection term gradient. So, these are also there. So, but these requires different technique for calculation. So, that is why it is not going to be discussed explicitly those pressure gradient term or convection gradient term, but essentially the normal gradient calculation, that means let us say del phi calculation in a diffusion system, that we will start with. So, to start with, we first start with a one dimensional problem. So, let us look at this one dimensional problem. You have a cell here, and this is the basically cell boundary. So, they are delta xc apart. So, the width of the cell width is delta xc, it is in the 1D, and the east node is E and the west node is W. So, this is also one can think about 1D uniform, that means delta xc equal delta xe, it must be equal to delta xw. So, they are same. So, the cell width is kept same, and as per our general convention, the face which is connecting the point C and E, or the element C and E, is small e, and this distance is delta xc, and the connecting faces between west and C is small w. So, these are the notation, and the direction is defined in x direction. So, what we want to calculate is that d phi by dx at the cell face E. So, that is what we are always interested in, to calculate all these fluxes at the interface. In order to do that, what we need to do? We use the information from the cell values, and this should be xc minus xc. So, one can write that is phi e minus phi c divided by del x e. So, can be, so now one can also write that d phi by dx at cell center C. So, this is a value which is at the centroid of that element C. How you can do that? Now, previous calculation we have used the value at the cell center and calculated the value at flux phase E, and similarly one can find out at phase W. Now, in the reverse calculation, what we want to do? We want to use the information of these phases like E and west phases and try to calculate the derivative at centered C. So, which can be written at phi E minus phi W divided by xe minus xw, which one can write that phi E plus phi c by 2, which is basically again an linear interpolation between the information of C and E, and linear interpolation between C and west divided by delta xc, because this distance is delta xc, which one can write phi e minus phi w divided by 2 delta x c. So, this essentially means that they are of the central differences scheme. So, usually referred to as central difference scheme. So, the central difference which we now find out at cell center C, we using the information of east cell and the west value, it is essentially one can refer as central difference, and this is going to be the derivative or the first derivative using central difference scheme. Now, for Cartesian grid in multiple dimension, the derivatives can be also computed by applying the same principle. So, now if we move to Cartesian grid, the same derivative can be applied using the similar principle in the respective coordinate system. So, now let us consider this two dimensional, this is a 2D Cartesian grid. So, now if you consider this 2D Cartesian grid, and this is a very well known or familiar figure that we have been using so far. It is a standard cell center C, east node is E. So, this face would be E, north face N, west face W, south face S. These are the cell vector or the surface vector at E face, surface vector at the north face, surface vector at the west face, and surface vector at the south face, and the other nodes like north, northeast, southeast, south, southwest and northwest, and these are the respective cell distances in x and y direction. Again, this is also uniform in each direction. So, that delta xc or delta xe, they must be equal. So, using now these particular things, one can also look at the calculation of this first derivative at the cell center. So, this would be phi e minus phi w divided by xc minus xw, and this is in this direction of x or x direction. Now, it is in the two dimensional system. So, we need to get an estimate in the other direction or the derivative in the other direction. So, the first derivative in the y direction would be phi n minus phi s divided by xn minus xs. So, one can think, now consider these three elements in one direction and similarly obtain the derivative at cell center, but now the derivative along this direction. So, that uses the information of north cell and the south cell. So, this is quite straightforward, and if you have in 3 dimension, similarly one can compute in z direction. So, that would be quite straightforward. And why that looks so straightforward? It is a 2 dimensional uniform Cartesian system, and obviously they are orthogonal to each other. So, once you do that, now we want to use the different techniques, like one of the very famous technique is that Green-Gauss gradient calculation. So, that means this is very or common or widely used methods for computing. So, it is widely used method for computing gradients. So, that essentially used in very commonly in CFD codes. So, this has already been discussed while we are talking about the discretization of the diffusion system, but the final form of the equation now we will discuss in details. Now, if you look at it, the mathematical expression for that remains like the del Bc of the Bc summation over all the phases, and that would be phi f or phi f SF, where f stands for phase and s suffix f is the surface vector. Okay. Now, the phase value phi f is still need to be calculated, or some formula needs to be used to calculate the phase value. So, there are two approaches which are presented. One is the phase based with a generally compact stencil involving the phase neighbor. So, one approach could be the phase based approach, which actually uses some compact stencil involving phase neighbors, and the second option could be vertex based. So, that is another option one can use, the vertex based, that with larger stencil, okay, which actually involves the vertex neighbors. So, essentially in all these approaches you need to have the information from the neighbors. Sometimes it is the phase neighbors, sometimes it is the vertex neighbor, and also the number of cells in this extended stencil is about twice the one which required for the phase based. So, the use of compact stencil, that the phase based approach is quite attractive with implicit methods, because it leads to more compact Jacobian matrices. However, this larger stencil that involves the vertex neighbors, that brings some more information into the reconstruction, and therefore, it is expected to be slightly more accurate. So, as soon as you say that, it means whenever you use different kind of approach, always it comes with some sort of advantages, some sort of disadvantages. Now, first thing that we will start with is the calculation based on, so first method. So, the method 1, and method 1 is we use the compact stencil. And what is that? So, here is the picture of that, it is again 2 dimensional, and this is a face which is connecting the points with the neighboring cell F, and as usual the connecting line between C and F belongs to E, and these are the from the reference frame, the distance vectors for C is RC, then this F is RF, the distance vector to capital F is R capital F, and the connecting point which touches the face is small f, and SF is the surface vector. Now, you need to calculate the phase value phi f, and one simple approximation would be using GC phi c 1 minus GC phi f, where again GC is the geometric weighting factor. Okay. So, once you use that information, then what you get is that calculation of GC. So, that will become now magnitude of Rf minus R small f divided by R capital F minus Rc, which is d ff, because Rf minus Rf will give dff and Rf minus Rc will give dfc. Okay. So, R here is essentially represents the position vector, okay, and d is distance between points. So, that is what we get. Now, if the face is located at midway, that means at the middle of that, this phi f could be phi c plus phi f divided by 2. Now, this approach is quite simple to implement, and top of that, and simple to implement in 2D and 3D, and all operations which are involved are phase based, not requiring any additional grid connectivity. So, that way it is very straightforward. And secondly, this is also second order accurate. So, the order of accuracy is also high. Now, the other thing which is there, that when the segment CF and face SF intersection point coincide with the centroid of the face, that F, thus a second order accurate representation you can always obtain. Now, this condition is not usually satisfied with a general unstructured non-orthogonal. So, this is not be easily satisfied for a general non-orthogonal structured or unstructured system. So, that means essentially if you have some skewness in the system, whether in 2 dimensional or 3 dimensional, this simple calculation would not happen. And if you look at this particular 2 dimensional grid, again this is 2 dimensional face, 2D face, but it is non-conjunctional face. Okay. So, that means there are some level of skewness present in the grid, which leads that the connections between C and F, that means the cell center of the concerned cell and the F, they are passing through the face at a point of intersection F prime, and the C which is touching the centroid of the face at point F. So, there is a offset between F and F prime. So, F here not equals to F prime. So, and the surface vector is acting at F, not F prime. So, there are multiple distance vectors which will turn out to be there. One is capital Rf, R small f, R f prime, R c, and this case now your calculation would be like the correction term would be phi f, which is equals to phi f prime plus some level of correction. So, that is what is required, because now f and f prime are not situated or located at the same point. So, once you have that correction, you can expand that and get del phi dot Rf minus Rf prime. Now, one can expand this one. So, if you expand this one in more convincing form, you can get at the face value phi f equals to G C phi c plus delta phi c dot R f minus R c plus second component which will come from 1 minus G c into phi f plus delta phi f dot R f minus R capital F. So, these are the two terms which you get after invoking the correction due to skewness. So, once you do that, what you finally get is that is equivalent to phi prime plus G c delta c dot R f minus R c plus 1 minus G c delta phi capital F dot R f minus capital F. So, this term which you look at it, if you compare with this equation which is phase value phi f, this is essentially the term which one can think about the correction term associated with this one. Now, what happens here is that G c, now since G c strongly depends on f prime, which indicates that the improved estimation of the gradient can be obtained through some iterative process, because G c is now cannot be evaluated in a algebraic fashion. So, that is why there is a dependency on location of f prime. So, at each iteration the average value at phase is computed using gradients which is calculated in the previous iteration. So, these phase values are then used to compute the new estimate of the gradients. So, if you do enough number of successive iterations and then which can actually can cause some oscillations, and usually not more than 2 iterations are performed because of this. So, what it requires, the calculation of G c which requires location of intersection point of f prime between C f and S f. So, now that is what it requires. So, essentially the calculation of G c which requires locating the intersection point f prime between C f and the face S f. For that purpose, now you need couple of options. So, option 1, we can have multiple options. So, option 1, now in this particular option what you can do, so f prime you can take. So, if you consider this figure again, now if you consider this figure, then we can calculate the f prime using the surface vector S f and the distance C f, where n you say the surface unit vector, then n can be calculated as S f divided by S f, and E is the unit vector along C f, which is also shown here. This is the E. So, once you say that, E can be also calculated as CF divided by CF, and now you can find out the location of F prime by exploiting the orthogonality condition that exists between n. So, the orthogonality condition between n and the segment f prime. So, which is where if you look at it, the n is the normal to the SF containing the segment f prime. So, using that one can write that Rf minus Rf prime dot n equals to 0. So, since the f prime is the point on CF, the vector C f prime can be recast as capital C f prime, that is a vector, R f prime minus R C equals to K E, where this K is a scalar quantity. Okay. Now, if you combine everything together, R f prime becomes R f dot n divided by E dot n E. So, once f prime is located, you can, once f prime is located, you can find out the, so the GC could be obtained like R capital F minus R f prime divided by R f minus R C, which is D f f prime divided by D f C. So, that is how you can obtain the calculation, and then the calculation procedure one can write. So, these are the procedure for calculation. What you do that, so first iteration you can compute the over whole domain, and then you follow the step. You first calculate phi f prime using phi f prime equals to GC phi C 1 minus GC phi f. Second, you calculate delta phi C using delta phi C equals to 1 by Vc summation over all the faces phi f prime SF. Now, from this point onwards, from this point onward, one needs to, correct the gradient field as per the following steps. So, once you reach up to this, after that one needs to follow the other 3 steps, like now you update phi f using phi f equals to phi f prime plus GC delta phi c dot Rf minus Rc plus 1 minus Gc delta phi capital F dot Rf minus Rf. Then you update delta phi c using the equation like 1 by Vc summation over the faces phi f Sf. Then you go back to step 3 and repeat the process. So, that is what you do. So, that is how you calculate. So, initially at the first iteration you calculate the gradient field in complete domain. So, basically initially you calculate gradient in whole domain and then you move along the calculation procedure and obtain the. So, first you get this expression and calculate, then you calculate the phi c using the neighboring faces and also the cell volume, and after that you go on iterations to correct the field. And how you do that? You do the corrections here, then again recalculate and go back and repeat this step. That is what you do in this particular option. So, that is option number 1. Now, we can consider another option which is called option 2. Let us say second option, option 2. Here you look at this particular figure, here is the cell center C and neighboring cell center F, and F prime is essentially here, F prime is essentially at the middle of segment CF. So, it is in the 2-dimensional system and simpler system. So, the calculation of the gradient field over the domain, now you can follow different procedure, and here small f is at the cell centroid, a face centroid. So, what you do again, you follow the below steps to get the calculation done. First step, you calculate phi f prime using phi f prime equals to phi c plus phi f by 2. Second step, you calculate the phi c using standard procedure of 1 by Vc summation over f, which is across the all the faces, you get f prime S f. Now, that is what again in this case also at the first iteration you calculate the gradient in the whole domain and using like this. So, this is what you essentially do, or these two steps you do at the first iteration. Now, to correct this, now after this or second iteration onwards, the correction takes place. And how you correct the procedure? So, essentially the gradient that is corrected using these steps. So, now you update phi f using the equation phi f prime plus 0.5 into delta phi c plus delta phi f dot R f minus 0.5 into R c plus R f. So, that is a different expression that we used for option 1. Now, at the second level you update delta phi c using delta phi c equals to 1 by V c. You loop over all the faces and get phi f S f. And finally, what you do, you go back to step 3 and repeat the process. So, that is what you do in the second process, where you assume that f prime is lying in between the, which is no more lying on the face f. This is rather at the middle of this segment CF, and so your correction factors are modified like this, and using that correction factor you can obtain the. Now, third option, which is option 3, where you look at this picture again, here C and F, which are again along this segment, and the E is the direction, F is going to be the cell centroid, centroid of the face. And what the way here, basically it is a, you can think about this is correction to non conjunctibility using minimum distance. Okay. So, that means the position f prime is chosen such a fashion that f prime is the shortest possible distance in 2 dimension. Okay. So, this leads to some sort of an more accurate computation of the gradient during first iteration. So, if this case f prime is computed by, so f prime is now computed by minimizing the distance between f and f prime. So, essentially this is a minimum distance kind of approach, and the f prime is chosen such that f prime, the small f and f prime, this would be the shortest possible distance. So, to do that, some minimization procedure is adopted. In general, the vector r f prime is r c plus some factor q r c minus r f, where q lies between 0 to 1. Okay. Now, one would like to denote that distance f prime f equivalent to small d. So, if we do so, my d square is Rf minus Rf prime dot Rf minus Rf prime, which is nothing but Rf minus Rc minus Q Rc Rf dot Rf minus Rc minus Q Rc minus Rf. So, if I rewrite that, it would be Rf minus Rc dot Rf minus Rc minus 2Q Rf minus Rc dot Rc minus Rf plus Q square Rc minus Rf dot Rc minus Rf. Now, what you want to do is the minimizing the function d square with respect to q. So, that gets you back that del q of d square, which is essentially 0, and that means if you take the derivative of this with respect to q, you get back minus 2 Rf minus Rc dot Rc minus R capital F plus 2Q Rc minus R capital F dot Rc minus R capital F, which is 0. Now, if you solve q from here, so from here you solve for q, and what we get back is that q equals to minus R capital Cf dot RCF RCF dot RCF. So, if you know the q values, so once you know, so basically you have to know this value, then the calculation of the gradient follows. So, after knowing this gradient calculation is based on the following steps. So, again for the first iteration you calculate the gradient over whole domain, and that is done like first you calculate R f prime using the equation R f prime equals to R c minus R c f dot R c f divided by R c f dot R c f into R c minus R f, and then you calculate G c using G c equals to magnitude of R capital A minus R f prime divided by R f minus R capital C. So, in the first iteration you calculate the gradient field in complete domain, but before doing that one has to get this calculation of this q value, which is very much essential, and once you know that, after that we follow the steps. So, now you get GC, then obviously the next step would be very obvious, the calculation of phi prime, which is using the standard equation GC phi c plus 1 minus GC phi f. So, then the fourth one would be you calculate delta phi c using the cell volume and the summation over all the faces phi f prime S f. Now, up to this, which you need to calculate at the first iteration. So, in the first iteration you do the calculation and obtain the gradient in complete domain. So, essentially this will get you gradient in whole domain. Once you get that, now second iteration onward you can correct the field. So, second iteration onwards correct the field as 5, you calculate delta phi f prime using delta phi f prime equals to GC delta phi c plus 1 minus GC delta phi f. Then you update phi f using phi f equals to phi f prime plus delta phi f prime dot R f minus R f prime. So, that will update the phase value. Then the seventh step, you update your delta phi c using the equation of BC summation of all the faces which goes of phi f S f, and then finally you can go back to step 8 and repeat the procedure. So, essentially go back to step 5 and repeat. Okay. So, that is how you do in this particular case. So, this is quite in the sense leads to an accurate computation. So, let me reiterate the whole thing quickly. So, option 1, we have done the calculation which is based on, essentially in option 1 we do the calculation by finding the exact intersection of A prime. Okay. So, there you first, in the first iteration, these are all done in the first iteration. So, you calculate the phi f prime and then you complete domain you get phi c, and then second point onwards you update the phase field by this correction procedure, update the phi c and repeat. So, this gives you some sort of an accuracy. Then option 2, it is finding the this f prime is assumed to be in the middle of CF, and once you do that, then what you do in the first iteration, you calculate the correction of the phase value using the cell information of the C and F, then get the complete information in the domain, and then second points onward or the second iteration onwards, you update phi f the phase value using this kind of expression, then update the gradient of the cell and then go back. But the one which is most accurate is option 3, where you use some sort of an minimization procedure of the distance. That means your f prime lies in between the segment of C and F, and the distance between F, which is the phase center value. So, the distance between F and F prime should be the shortest possible distance, and that is the process or the mechanism which is adopted for this correction in this non-conjunctibility using this minimum distance procedure. So, how do I find out the f prime? F prime, you have to find out the distance between f and f prime by finding some sort of a or optimizing the minimum distance procedure. So, what you defined first, the radius vector of r f prime is r c plus some factor q which lies between 0 to 1 and the distance between r c minus r f. So, it is a simple definition of your distance vector, which includes the distance vector of this plus some factor, weighting factor, and the distance between this, which is defined here. And then you say this particular distance f and f prime, which is defined as a small d, that is the representation of that, and we want to see the distance square. So, that becomes essentially the dot product between r f minus r f prime, and the dot product, once you put this r f prime expression back here, this leads to this particular expression. So, now since we want to minimize the distance between r f and f prime, or the vector between or the distance between f and f prime, so you take a derivative with respect to this q. Q is the weighting factor or some factor which is used for this segment C and F. So, if you take the derivative and for the minimization of that distance, it is 0. So, once you take derivative of this expression, that allows you to get this, and after solving that you get the value of q, which is very important to know that distance factor. Now, once you know the q, then you can actually process the steps or follow the steps to find out the gradient. So, first iteration, which will actually allow you to calculate the gradient in whole domain, you first calculate the RF distance vector using q and RC, then you calculate the GC, which is like this, then calculate RQ F prime, and then finally delta C for whole domain. Then second iteration onwards, you actually update, calculate delta F prime with this expression, then calculate the phase value, then you update your delta phi c, and you go back to step 5 and repeat. So, this is how you do the gradient calculation in different options for compact stencils, and we will discuss in the next lecture for the extended stencil. Thank you.